Big Blue Nation is out in force. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. It's the 5th-ranked Kentucky Wildcats here at Rupp Arena hosting the defending champs out of the American East Conference, the Vermont Catamounts. With Jimmy Dykes, I'm Doug Sherman. Welcome to Lexington, Kentucky, and let's take a look at Jimmy D's keys to the game.
Well, Doug, for Vermont, it's going to start with their decisions at the rim. I think they're going to have the ability to get the ball back towards the basketball rim and then make good decisions once it's there. They also need to force Kentucky into contested jump shots and then rebound like their life depends on it. For Kentucky, guard the dadgum basketball, something they did not do well on Friday. They have to get better at it and then get zoned in. Not only do I expect John Calipari's team to play zone defense in this ballgame at some point, but they better be zoned in from the opening tip. This Vermont team is for real. They won 29 games last year. And it has a feel to me of like a 4 seed versus a 13 seed on the opening day of the NCAA tournament.
Well, Joe Lunardi in this first week of the regular season projects this Vermont team to be a 13 seed in this year's NCAA tournament. Vermont ran the table in conference play a year ago and are the prohibitive favorite in their league again this year. On defense to begin, Vermont in the green, Kentucky in the home whites. 5 freshmen for the second straight game getting the start for Kentucky. The difference is that Quade Green starts at the point. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, who got the start on Friday in the win over Utah Valley, will come off the bench here today.
But you couldn't draw it up any better than what John Becker's guys just did on the defensive end. They're a very disciplined closeout team, sticky on the ball, and they get in the gaps and take away the ball getting to the paint. And they force Kentucky into a shot clock violation on trip number 1.
And on trip number 1 the other way, Kentucky defensively is in man-to-man, even though all the talk here in Lexington is the zone and how this Vermont starting 5 will handle that if and when the Wildcats make the switch.
Well, there's a great decision at the rim to start the ball game by Traybell Haynes. This is a Vermont kid that America's East best player, and well, he just had a blow-by, a straight-line drive that you cannot defend.
Over the back foul going to be called against Nick Richards, the freshman from Kingston, Jamaica. Coach Cal is the ultimate teacher this year. This is the youngest group he's had in his 9 years at Kentucky. A lot's been made out of that, but we saw him practice yesterday. And Jimmy, you've been here in Lexington a couple of times in the last 2 weeks. It's a different type of approach this year for Cal.
Well, he's tough on him, and because he knows the non-conference schedule that awaits this young team and how good the SEC is going to be this year, he has no other choice.
DJ Washington. Kevin Knox with the pull-up.
If you're Vermont, though, you live with that shot. That was a toughly guarded 2. That's just what Vermont wants from their defense. You cannot defend a straight-line drive, a blow-by like Quade Green gave up on the opening possession, and Utah Valley did time and time again to this young Kentucky team on Friday night.
And ultimately, it's that got Kentucky to switch from man to zone, right, Jimmy?
Absolutely.
Traybell Haynes from the corner, knocks the long rebound, and here come the running Wildcats. Diallo fouled by Traybell Haynes.
That's where Kentucky is at their best early in the season. Ripping that ball off the defensive boards and flooding the floor in transition. They have terrific speed.
This is year number 7 as head coach at Vermont for John Becker. He also was an assistant coach for 5 years prior to that in Burlington under Mike Lonergan. And this is a Vermont program that during that time, along with Albany and along with Stony Brook, have been the class of that conference.
And they will be again this year. I mean, Albany has, I believe, all 5 starters back and a couple of really good guards, and David Nichols and Joe Cremo. But this Vermont club, a 10-point loss to Purdue last year in the NCAA tournament opening round. It was a ball game for a long time. They will not be intimidated in Rupp today.
And there you see the returning percentages for Vermont. And that's really one of the big storylines coming into this game. The experience of Anthony Lamb and the Vermont Catamounts against the youth and inexperience of the Wildcats.
Anthony Lamb is a mid-major version of Bonzie Colson at Notre Dame, an undersized post player that is very effective in the mid-post, and he just got great separation with a strong shoulder bang on the defender.
Quade Green with a strong finish. His first field goal as a Kentucky Wildcat. after coming off the bench and missing his only field goal attempt on Friday. Makes the score 5-4 Kentucky. Ernie Duncan back out to the spotting up Peyton Henson, who left it short.
Well, you don't want to give Vermont open looks like that, though. A 47% three-point shooting club so far through 3 exhibition games.
Offensive foul. Knocks the charge. Yeah, we heard repeatedly at practice yesterday and shoot around this morning for Vermont. Long misses, Jimmy, by us are going to turn into runouts and easy points for the Wildcats.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, Vermont early in this game, they're getting to the paint about any time they want. They've gotten to the rim. They've gotten wide open threes out of it. I believe that's Henson that got back and took the blunt of the blow. I don't know. Fell on his backside pretty hard. That's a proper call. Again, Henson, his ability to sprint to the defensive end. I watched this young man play a lot of high school basketball out of Siloam Springs, Arkansas, and I thought he was probably undervalued and under-recruited regionally in that area. And starts off at Tulane, transfers to Vermont. A key guy that they can't afford to lose. They're a small team to start with.
Third-team All-America East Conference a year ago when he averaged 11 points, 5.5 rebounds per game. As you mentioned, he was a key reserve for 2 years for Tulane, but went from New Orleans to Burlington, Vermont. Quite a switch for the young man from Arkansas. Ernie Duncan goes around the illegal screen set by Traybell Haynes. And so the senior point guard from Toronto picks up his second personal foul.
Yeah, that's the danger of a dribble handoff guard to guard, is if you're a smart defender, and Kentucky does a good job of reading the play and probably from the scouting report knowing you have a chance to jump in front, take it.
So that right there could be a big game changer for Vermont. Their all-conference player of the year, senior point guard Bell Haynes, out with 2 fouls. He's replaced by Cam Ward, another senior guard. Lob to Diallo from Green. It's 7-4.
Doug, they can make a lot of plays, talking about Kentucky, over the top of you with their length on both ends of the floor, that wingspan and their height. Very difficult, hard to guard.
Yeah, as a team, the scholarship players on the Kentucky roster average a wingspan of 6'10". And there it is in Diallo. Off the block, Green dumps it for Knox. And he was fouled by Ward.
Well, the length of Kentucky is something you're going to have to deal with all season long. We will talk about all season long. There you see Hami phone up the mailbox sign saying, deliver me something good, and the pass on time, on target. Kentucky, even their guards are so big at 6'5", 6'6". They can see over the top of smaller defenders, and all of them are capable of making that play around the rim.
Nick Richards goes out. Sasha Kalia-Jones, the sophomore from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, comes in for the first time for Kentucky. It's a 6-0 run for UK.
Well, Doug, you touched on it. Without Traybell Haynes on the floor, Vermont has to hang in this game for probably a 5 or 6 minute stretch right now. And it's going to be up to Coach Becker to decide what does he do with foul trouble. And it's a completely different team without number 2 in Green on the floor.
They have 3 senior guards, all recruited as primary ball handlers. But the reality has been, it's been the Traybell Haynes show since they all arrived on campus 4 years ago. Wade Green off the window again, and there's last year's Rookie of the Year in the America East, Anthony Lamb, with a rebound. This is Ernie Duncan. Ward wide open. That's what his coach wants him to do. He says, I've got one job for Cam Ward. That shoot the basketball every time you get it.
How'd you like to have that job description if you're a college basketball player?
Sign me up.
I know Kentucky has the lead, but the warning signs right now, Vermont having the ability to drive that basketball about any time they want. They're getting good looks.
Washington gets the roll, and the run continues for the Wildcats.
Yeah, Vermont, John's not going to like that out of his defense. But they're a team that puts on ball pressure, and they get in the gaps, and you have to show 3 green jerseys anytime a Kentucky player has it on the perimeter. They did not do it that time.
Jimmy, do you imagine we'll see Traybell Haynes again this half?
It depends on what the score does right now, because John knows this thing gets up to 12, 15 points. He's going to have any choice but to put him back in.
Green absorbs the contact and misses the wild shot.
Yeah, that was a maybe. Like, maybe my guy might be at the rim to make up for my bad pass.
This is Cam Ward, guarded by Quade Green.
Kentucky was not disciplined with their on-ball defense against Utah Valley. They're a long team. They can afford to have some shorter closeouts. Time and time again in that game, they got too close to the ball and allowed straight line drives, something that Coach Cal has had time to correct in the last 24 hours.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by TIAA. Let's plan for your success at TIAA.org.
For the University of Vermont, this is the Catamounts' first time ever at Rupp Arena. As you see, Trey Bell-Haynes out with the 2 personal fouls. This Vermont program coming off a record-setting 29-win season a year ago when they rattled off what was the longest winning streak in the country last year, 21 games in a row. They went from preseason until the NCAA tournament against Purdue without losing a basketball game, Jimmy. This is a team and a program that knows how to win.
Well, that, it started back with Tom Brennan and victory over Syracuse in the NCAA tournament. Jay Billis likes to refer to that as the Tom Brennan glory day. But that Vermont program and community, the Catamount family, is terrific in so many ways. They do things right is the best way to describe it.
Now coming out of the timeout, Vermont got the shot it wanted. Anthony Lamb, though, misfired.
Kentucky already dominating the boards like they should every game. There's no excuse for them to be out-rebounded by Morehead State and Utah Valley so far this season.
One of those games, of course, an exhibition. The other, the opening game on Friday night. Jump shot is good by P.J. Washington, the freshman from Dallas.
I think if Kentucky can make those shots this evening, they're going to be in business. Vermont's defense is designed to make you take and make contested 2-point shots, long twos, just like Washington did.
Traveling violation against Lamb. You mentioned the Kentucky Wildcats and how tough they're going to be if they knock down shots. This is what makes them so tough. You've got a 6'7" power going outside knocking that down.
You see the short closeout by Vermont. That's how they're built to defend. They're not going to be quick enough to get out and really put hard pressure on the ball on shooters. Play to their strength.
Knox spotting up. Freshman point guard Steph Smith into the game with Bell-Haynes on the bench with 2 fouls. Lamb firing away for 3, and that snaps the Kentucky run.
They'll get started with a paint touch. Just a very simple 2 dribbles by Cam Ward. Got himself to the nail in the kick out. Lamb's waiting on it up top.
First 3 points for the sophomore out of Greece Athena High School in Rochester, New York, snapping that 10-0 Kentucky run. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander off the bench with the basketball.
Kentucky in their circle action, letting Shea Gilgeous-Alexander right now go off either low post.
Washington, after making the jump shot, took it strong. Well, he's got a physicality about him that puts any defender in a tough spot.
It's really good no call by the officials. Allowed the defender to go straight up inside the arc like he's allowed to do.
Well, Jimmy, Tuesday night on ESPN, it's the 7th annual State Farm Champions Classic. 4 of the top 5 teams in the nation square off, starting with top-ranked Duke and number 2 Michigan State at 7 Eastern. Then it's number 5 Kentucky and 4th-ranked Kansas. And for good measure, between games, the college football playoff top 25 presented by Northwestern Mutual will be revealed.
Huge night on ESPN Tuesday. You look at that Duke ball club. I think they're the most talented team I've seen so far. And Marvin Bagley III, the super sensational freshman, already averaging 24 and about 10. And what we think we know about college basketball and what we really do know will start to come to fruition when those 4 teams get together for a doubleheader.
I'll tell you what, when we get to San Antonio in the first weekend of April, I'll be surprised if we've got a better foursome than what we've got coming up on Tuesday night here on ESPN. Kentucky, Michigan State, Duke, and Kansas. Arizona the only outlier not in that field, out of the top 5 in the country.
Miles Bridges for Michigan State, my pick for National Player of the Year going into the season. Of course, all those things will play out, but a great example of a humble star, and you don't use the word humble and star very often together.
Drew Urquhart with a bucket for Vermont.
Yeah, Kentucky still can't guard the ball. They're struggling guarding the basketball again in this game.
Wenyen Gabriel's come in. He sets up Knox. Left it short that time. Knox struggled from beyond the three-point line in Friday's opener, missing 3 of his 4 attempts. Off to a slow start from the perimeter here this afternoon.
Dug a good gang rebound by Vermont on the defensive end. 4 guys around the basketball fighting themselves for the board.
No change of possession, so the shot clock continues, and Drew Urquhart, the senior from Vancouver, BC, off the bench with 4 points.
He is very skilled. He had a double-double last year in their loss at Butler. Probably closer to 6'10", a very good mid-major guy bringing off the bench. Surprised there's no double team on Knox in that corner. They want the ball out of his hands.
Since the 10 unanswered points rattled off by Kentucky, Vermont has answered with 7 in a row. And there's Lamb again, who was coached yesterday, compared to a 4-man's Charles Barkley with that rebound.
Again, on the rebound, it's 4 green jerseys fighting each other, not a white jersey involved, crashing the offensive glass.
Lamb's going to work over Gabriel.
Woo!
9 in a row for UVM.
Bonzie Colson at the mid-major level. The offense flows through his hands at that mid-post elbow area. That's when Vermont starts clicking. They're hanging in the game without their point guard, Trey Bell Haynes. That's huge.
Gabriel goes to the reverse.
Just another length play, wasn't it? Wenyen Gabriel, the release point was above the rim, almost shooting down.
First 2 points for the sophomore out of Wilbraham and Munson Academy in Massachusetts. 9:33 to go first half. UVM hanging in there with Kentucky. Quick outlet. Here comes Kentucky on the run, and an offensive foul called against Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah, you're going to have to adjust now for Kentucky in transition. Already twice in the first 10 minutes, Vermont has sprinted, gotten in front of the rim, and taken the body blow. The wingspans of Kentucky, something you have to deal with all season long. Can't wait to see this coming up. As a normal-sized college guard at 6 feet tall with a 6'1" wingspan, even with active hands, can't take away vision from the rim, not real good at taking away passing angles to my side. But Kentucky's not playing with normal length this year on the perimeter. 6'7" guys up top, especially in their zone, with 7'1" wingspans, can take away vision of the rim and really eliminate passing angles to either side.
Jimmy, I like those hamburger helper hands. That's not. You should be a soccer goalie or something.
Grown man hands. That's what Kentucky has to play with. And Vermont's doing a good job of negating that length. So what do? They're not trying to play over the top of it. They're going around it. And that's something Kentucky's going to have to get better at, is deleting those straight line drives. But that wingspan of Kentucky is awfully impactful on both ends of the floor. You look at all the guys with over a 7-foot wingspan. And it's interesting talking to our camera guys, Nick and Justin, while I was shooting that, how many times they get asked by their friends or family members, how big are those guys when you're down there shooting them? You don't get a real feel for it unless you're at court level. The length of Kentucky this year is tremendous.
Well, it doesn't take long to realize this group of freshmen and sophomores at Kentucky are just different. They've got the potential to be great, but at the moment they are what they are, a work in progress. And you talked about it yesterday as we were chatting during practice. Trey Bell Haynes has come back into the game for UVM, and he picks up the assist on the long 3 by Skylar Nash.
That is big-time offense. The baseline drive, the opposite corner and opposite slot was filled. Vermont getting anything they want right now with drive of the basketball.
And so the Catamounts take the lead. Diallo gets it right back for Kentucky. As we were saying, Kentucky from this week to next week to the following week, they're going to be a completely different team, right, Jimmy?
Yes, they will. We talk about Jared Vanderbilt still setting out, who I think is a difference maker in the freshman class. They're hoping to get back, I don't know, maybe sometime December, early January. They're not at full strength. We won't know what Kentucky really is until March. By then, they could be a handful.
Foul on the rebound goes against the redshirt junior from Evansville, Indiana, Ernie Duncan.
But I am so impressed of the spacing and the action off of the drives right now by Vermont.
There's a look at Jared Vanderbilt, who you're talking about, the 6'9" freshman from Houston, Texas, whose college career is on hold for now because of a left foot injury suffered in late September. Initially, they were afraid he was going to have surgery. At this point, they think he won't need surgery, and they're hoping to get him back in practice later this month.
Yeah, I was here 2 weeks ago. He was in a boot the entire time. And yesterday at practice, he was getting some shots up and on the exercise bike. And
yeah, this marvelous freshman class for Kentucky. They're also missing Jamal Baker, freshman from Menifee, California, who is out for a longer stretch of time. He had left knee surgery on October 27th, and he was going to provide the best perimeter shooter out of the bunch. Diallo.
Well, a terrific job of separation on his own by Diallo. Just a sidestep and then got his feet gathered and went straight up and straight down on balance. Tough move, well executed.
He's got 7 points for Kentucky. He led the way on Friday with 18 points. Little screen and roll. Contact created by the offensive player Urquhart, who picks up his first personal.
Like Hami Diallo is as explosive of an athlete that we have in this freshman class. And watch the move, the sidestep, boom. Gets his feet under his shoulders, elevates and drains it. Well done, Hami, well done.
Chris, thank you. Coming up Tuesday night, 9 Eastern on ESPN, it's the exclusive reveal of the college football playoff top 25 rankings presented by Northwestern Mutual. Reese and the guys will break it all down between games of the Champions Classic.
Well, it's going to look different than it did last week. Auburn taking down #1 Georgia last night, and Gus Malzahn from Auburn, one of my good friends for the last 15 years. We exchanged text messages early last week. I won't tell you the details of it, but I knew on Monday his team was going to be ready. They were confident. And Auburn, they put a rear kicking on Georgia now.
And just when you thought last night Alabama maybe was going to go down as well, Crimson Tide figure out a way.
Jalen Hurts is clutch. Jalen Hurts and Baker Mayfield from Oklahoma, they are winners. They make winning plays. You want that as a point guard. If you're a basketball coach, you want it in your quarterback as a football coach.
Trey Bell Haynes, the America East Conference Player of the Year a year ago, turns it over. Lamb
That's intentional.
with the foul.
Yeah. There's not a legitimate play on the basketball when it's happened live by Anthony Lamb. The length has bothered Trey Bell Haynes in this last couple of minutes. You see the long arms. Boom, right there. A pass that normally he can make in the America East. He can't make against Kentucky. And although his hands got a piece of the basketball, I did not view that either as a legitimate play on the ball when it was happening live.
So the officials are going to go over and take a look. Jimmy, compare and contrast the two freshman point guards for Kentucky, Quade Green, and we just see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Well, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, first of all, plays with more energy than anybody else that John Calipari consistently puts on the floor right now. He's a 6'10", 6'11" wingspan guy that can absolutely just erase your point of attack from that point guard spot, and you wrap around from behind like that, Doug. That's an easy call, I think, for the officials to make. And Tony Henderson and Patrick Evans and Will Howard are an experienced crew, but you get up around that neck area with your arms playing from behind. I don't think there's much to discuss.
And perhaps they were checking to see if there was anything after the fact as well, which there appeared to be nothing.
Well, I'm sure we'll get the word from him. I didn't see anything after the foul. I mean, I don't know if there was some jawing going on a little bit. I didn't see that.
All I saw was P.J. Washington putting a forearm out, I think, as much as anything to separate as to inflame, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. That part there is the easy part to call.
And then
afterwards,
PJ.
Anthony Lamb Walks away. Yeah, maybe a little bit of an elbow by P.J. Washington, maybe.
So Jimmy's getting an explanation from Will Howard on this side of the court, while Tony Henderson and Patrick Evans discuss it with the coaches on the other side.
Well, you've got the intentional foul by 3 in green, which we all knew that, and then the contact dead ball foul will be 2 free throws for both teams, and then ball back in play at the timeline. And it wasn't a lot of contact by 25 in Washington, but it was enough for them to go to the monitor and see a dead ball technical foul contact. Get a little better look at it right here, but I think PJ's trying to come in to get some separation, but that contact right there by the left elbow is what gets called, and shoot free throws and resume play.
And so Gilgeous Alexander, the 6'6" freshman from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, at the free throw line, made the first and the second.
Now Ernie Duncan will get to shoot 2 for Vermont.
And as you can tell, the folks here at Rupp don't like that foul call. Now, back in your day, that would not have been a foul. You'd get away with all sorts of different things.
Yeah.
But nowadays, a little forearm shiver like that, and you're going to get a call.
I tell you, a real key part of this game right now is Trey Bill Haynes, number 2 in green. How much longer does he play in this first half with 2 personal fouls? There he is, just right by the timeline. If you can stay within 6 or 8 points of Kentucky, I think without him on the floor right now and you're Vermont, you'd take it.
Trey Bell Haynes is a 22-year-old senior from Toronto, playing against a group of 18 and 19-year-olds for Kentucky. Now trying to defend against Gilgeous Alexander. Good ball movement by the Wildcats, which has been one of the early season keys for Coach Calipari. Don't hold the basketball. Don't dribble the basketball. Find your teammates.
Good job by Vermont to defend that loop action by Kentucky. They got a couple of hard drives. I'm not so sure they shouldn't have gone at Trey Bell Haynes one more time.
Here goes Haynes into the paint.
It's a great kick out and a great closeout by Hami Diallo to not get too close. That was a problem Kentucky had, in my estimation, Friday night against Utah Valley. Their closeouts were too tight. Their pressure was too hot on the ball and allowed the straight line drives. They're too big and long, like we talked about, to get that close.
Washington draws the contact and the foul against Lamb. This week on Monday Night Football, the Miami Dolphins face Cam Newton and the 6-3 Carolina Panthers. Coverage begins at 6 Eastern on ESPN with Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's. Kickoff at 8:15. Second foul on Lamb as Washington gets the roll.
Into the game for Kentucky,
Nick Richards returns. Wenyen Gabriel goes out for Kentucky. Everett Duncan back in, as well as Drew Urquhart for UVM. Vermont led 16-15 for just a matter of seconds. Since that time, Kentucky has reestablished control, up 7, under 6 minutes to go in the half. Nice job to find Everett Duncan. UVM pulls to within 5.
Yeah, you keep saying the Duncan last name because the 2 brothers, and they can both do that. They can both really shoot the basketball.
Well, Everett is a redshirt sophomore, Ernie a redshirt junior, both in the starting lineup tonight. Terrific gather and lay-in.
And it wasn't open. I mean, that play is not open. But what opens it is how tall and how long Kentucky is to make plays just simply over the top of really good defense.
Yeah, he's 6'7", but his wingspan is 7'3". Traybell Haynes, front rim, back tap nicely for UVM to extend the possession. Got another good look, but that'll be it. Here comes Kevin Knox. Head up, finds Diallo, gets it back, lays it up, and in.
That is big-time basketball in transition. The advance of the pass covered about 60 feet, and then Knox continues to make a rim run and gets it right back. Very well done by Kentucky.
And that's the positionless basketball we've been talking about with Kentucky. You've got your 6'9" freshman forward Kevin Knox able to run the break like that.
Yeah, that positionless will show up for Kentucky in transition more than any other place during a ball game. They get in that half court. They're going to get the ball in their point guard, Shai Gilgeous, Alexander, or Quad A. And their circle action again with Shai Gilgeous Alexander running off those low posts.
Shot clock under 10.
It's not a hard cut, by the way, by Shai Gilgeous Alexander.
Knox puts it up. And Diallo's going to be called for the over-the-back foul. First foul on Diallo. And I'm not so sure I don't disagree with the folks here at Rupp.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by PlayStation Vue. Watch the biggest moments in sports. Try it free today.
And inside Rupp, Kentucky with an 8-point lead. Vermont's going to have the basketball, but the transition game for Kentucky can be lethal because of the multiple handlers and multiple rebounders that can trigger it, and then multiple finishes on the other end. What is a thing of beauty? 1-2 bounces, a 60-foot pass, and then Knox again continues to seek the rim and play through a bump that didn't get called. I think it's Kevin Knox. His ability to play through bumps on drives could make him that guy this year for John Calipari.
Well, Kentucky number 5 in the preseason top 25. We've talked about the youth averaging less than 19.5 years old per player on the roster. But Coach Calipari is used to this sort of thing. Not to this extreme, but he's used to having so many new faces and trying to mold them and have them grow.
And as a result, he took nothing for granted preparing for this ball game. Yesterday, they slept in until 10. They ate breakfast together. They had an hour practice after that. They went to Coach Cal's house for nap time, like kindergartners for nap time. Then they got up and had a snack, came back to the Craft Center for a 2-hour practice, went to dinner, and then lights out at that point.
It was supposed to be a 45-minute shoot-around last night. Turned out to be a 2-hour-plus practice.
When I got that text, I knew that there's no way Coach Cal's going to go 45 minutes the night before he plays Vermont.
Diallo misfires. Ball gets saved back to him. 3 green jerseys after the rebound. UVM has it. I miss having nap time back when we were young. That was one of the best things about preschool and kindergarten.
You think Vermont would like to take some time off the shot clock right now and shorten the length of this game the remainder of the half. Another very good decision. Decisions at the rim by Traybell Haynes. He's been very good so far in this game.
Well, he told us yesterday about what he learned going against Purdue and Biggie Swanigan last year in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, he got his shot blocked 5 or 6 times and studied a lot of film on that game and other smaller guards that can get to the rim and do the right thing with the basketball, and he continues to do it so far in this game.
Offensive foul, Shai Gilgeous Alexander. He picks up his 2nd personal.
Doug, Vermont runs to the basketball. When you attack them off the bounce, they attack the bounce right back with help defenders. And Kentucky's going to have to continue to adjust to that help defense in this ball game. Good teams fix it within the game. Average teams fix it the next day in practice.
And as Dallin Cuff just mentioned coming out of that last break, both of Vermont's 2 all-conference players, the 2 best players, out again with 2 personal fouls. Traybell Haynes, Anthony Lamb as well. So Cam Ward at the point, along with Ernie Duncan in the backcourt. Urquhart, no. P.J. Washington. And just like that, here comes Hamidou Diallo. Count the basket and a chance for 3.
The leg strength of Hamidou Diallo really impacts the basketball game because he takes a hard hit, boom, right there, But his leg strength and ability to go ahead and go on up through the contact and keep his chin locked in on the rim, a chance for a three-point play. A critical last 2 minutes and 20 seconds right now for Vermont to try to keep this an 8 or 10-point game.
Well, you see, he's a native of Queens, New York. He played this summer some pickup basketball back in New York City with his teammate Nick Richards, also who lives in Queens, alongside with and against guys like LeBron, KD, Carmelo Anthony. You know, if you can hang with those guys, you can come and play NCAA basketball.
Yeah, they don't just pick anybody in a shirts and skins game. They'd rather play 4-on-4 than you and I have to get out there to make it 5-on-5.
Little teardrop.
What a play. We have not seen him full strength yet because the foul trouble a little bit saddled. This guy's got some game.
And, you know, he may not be quite 100%. He, with a left leg injury, missed the final exhibition last weekend for UVM. So it's been a week and a half since he played a basketball game. He looks like he's getting around fine. Washington absorbs the contact. The follow is good.
That is just absolute brute force getting to the paint. Those paint touches are like controlling the line of scrimmage in a football game, like Alabama did last night in that closing drive.
Well, he's a guy who enjoys bully ball. If he brings that motor every night, he can do that. He didn't have much of an impact on Friday's game, but he certainly, Washington has had a big impact so far here today.
Maybe a little quick that time in the attack by 2 in green.
Diallo.
Yeah, I didn't like the last shot by Traybell Haynes. Not in terms of the shot that he took, but how quickly he took it. And John Becker's called the timeout to talk to him about it, because what it has done is allowed Kentucky to quickly explode. The building is alert. A 12-point lead. Still a minute to go.
In between games.
With Jimmy Dykes, I'm Doug Sherman. We also, on that Champions Classic Tuesday, might get our first look at freshman Billy Preston for Kansas, the 5-star recruit, a stud, 6'10" from Los Angeles, who was suspended for their first game. He could be in uniform for the first time for the Jayhawks.
Yeah, hadn't been acting right. I think he's late to a team meeting, missed a class. A very talented kid. That's a Kansas team. Bill Self, he and I were on staff together at Oklahoma State. And he knows how to get the ball around the rim. The big Azubuike kid, 7 foot, about 270 pounds. They don't have, in terms of the depth, the size that Kansas has had over the past few years, but they still know how to get the ball to the power point of the floor as well as anyone in the college game right now.
And LeGerald Vick coming off his 23-point performance on opening night. For Kentucky, it's 5 games in 3 days to start the season. Utah Valley on Friday, here against Vermont this afternoon, and then against Kansas. So things are not getting easier as those 5 days go on.
Well, Calipari wants to find out what he's got. He knows what he has in terms of the potential, but they're going to step up from game 1 to game 2 and then game 2 to game 3. And that non-conference schedule with teams like Harvard and Virginia Tech, East Tennessee State, Troy, he has loaded up for a young team. Vermont goes zone and trying to save a foul here maybe at the end and see if Kentucky can make an outside shot.
Shot clock down to 5. Travel against Quade Green. You know, one thing Kentucky didn't do in this early season was accept an invite to the PK80, the tournament out in Portland coming up in a couple of weeks to honor Nike co-founder Phil Knight. And Kentucky, obviously a Nike school, they'd love to have him in the field, but perhaps that would have overextended Kentucky with this young group.
A critical last possession for Vermont. You got a chance to cut this thing to 10 or 9. You don't want to take it too quick. You want to make sure Vermont takes the last shot, not Kentucky. You'd think number 2 in green would be involved in some way.
This is number 0, the freshman point guard Steph Smith. Gets it over to Traybell Haynes, out of the same high school in Toronto. Bill Crothers secondary. Got a good look from Lamb. Let's see if Kentucky can get it up with 5 seconds to go.
Doug, they shot it too quick. That's what you don't want.
UVM catches a break on that last possession. 36-24, Kentucky with the 12-point lead as they head to the locker room. Got a good one here in Rupp. Now let's get you to Chris Cotter and Dallin Cuff back in the studio. Kentucky, the 5th-ranked team in the land, enjoys a halftime lead over Vermont. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. Wildcats with a good push before the intermission have seized control, at least for now, 36-24. Our score. With Jimmy Dykes, I'm Doug Sherman. The size and the length of Kentucky is just something Vermont's got to deal with.
It is, and Kentucky has won the stats that kind of talk about the length and the size of Kentucky. When you look at it, they've taken more twos in this ball game than threes, which they should. They've also won the rebounding battle. It's a Kentucky team right now that's doing a lot of good stuff in the paint. Now, they're not defending on the other end and allowing Vermont to get there more than they should, but Kentucky on the other end is attacking the painted area of the floor with a lot of consistency. They're not settling for threes in this game. They've made some tough twos. They've made some shots at the rim for some easy twos. But there's the size stats that I'm talking about. And Kentucky, they're winning the rebound battle. They're winning the points in the paint battle. And in terms of the two-point field goals, Kentucky's taken 26, Vermont's only taken 18. That's a good shot ratio for Kentucky when you can consider in the first half, Kentucky took 26 twos and only settled for 5 threes.
Now, Jimmy, again, Friday in the opener for Kentucky, they got out-rebounded by Utah Valley. That's just simply unacceptable.
Shouldn't happen. No, should not happen. Not with this type of size. And something I'm sure Coach Cal talked a lot about the last 24 hours.
Washington on the low block. And Kentucky picks up in the second half where it left off. That's 11 points for Washington to lead all scorers.
That was a send-a-message basket by Calipari to Vermont. You cannot handle this on the low block.
Well, ultimately, if you are Kentucky, you want to get across the point as Lamb scores in the paint. Hey, we're Kentucky and you're Vermont, right? I mean, ultimately, that's what we're talking about.
Yep, that's the attitude that Kentucky should have. But on the flip side, this is a Vermont team they're not intimidated by the building or the Kentucky on the jersey. They just have not played a great first half.
Basket by Reed.
Although I'll tell you what, for Vermont, we can't understate how exciting it is for the team, the coaches, the staff, the family members of the Catamounts for the opportunity to come here to Lexington. A lot of folks have made the trip from the Green Mountain State. Bucket by Peyton Henson. And a lot of family members have used this event to spend a weekend with their boys.
As well they should. You're in Rupp Arena. First time Vermont's been in here. I believe their first time to be on ESPN during the regular season, they told me earlier this week. There it is. That's an unstoppable circle cut by Diallo, first of all, in their circle action. And one of the options off of this circle action is the easy lob to a big.
Going to try and get Ernie Duncan going. He had a slow first half. Buries the corner triple.
The one concern that I have on the stat sheet at halftime, Kentucky has allowed Vermont to shoot 13 threes in the first half. That's too many threes out of a team that comes in shooting 47% as a team beyond the arc.
And Ernie Duncan in particular was 0 for 4 in that first half. He buries his first attempt here in the second. 4 to shoot. Kevin Knox Jr. going to work.
That's a charge. Again, they run to the ball, Vermont does. The help defense is always built in there, and it's always alert. The circle action of Diallo, he's going to work off this baseline screen and does a nice job of circling. Then after the circle cut, you're going to see the option to go to either big, and this time it's the ball side big. Bam! Easy finish for Nick Richards.
42-31 Kentucky, early second half here at Rupp Arena. Vermont is the defending champ out of the America East Conference and the unanimous pick to do it again this year. Foul off the ball against Diallo. Kentucky, meanwhile, number 1 in the preseason poll in the SEC as well. They're the 3-time defending regular season champs. Florida number 2, Texas A&M number 3. How would you stack them up, Jimmy?
Right now, you could put probably 4 or 5 names in the hat and pull them out in terms of those first 5. The SEC is loaded. A league that was really undervalued all year last year during the regular season, and they showed up very well in postseason play. But Kentucky, Florida, A&M, Alabama, I saw Missouri Friday night. Those teams are loaded with talent. There's more talent in this SEC season than there's been probably in the last 15 or 20 years, and there's more top 100 freshmen in the SEC than there is in any other league in the country this year.
Best case scenario, how many SEC teams get into the NCAA field this year?
7. You know, I would feel good about 7 right now.
Quade Green.
But with the start the league had on Friday, a huge win by Texas A&M over West Virginia. Alabama wins against Memphis on a neutral floor without Colin Sexton. Missouri takes down Iowa State. That number could grow or shrink. That non-conference schedule, man, you got to get it done.
And A&M did that without Robert Williams. They were missing a couple of their key pieces. But Tyler Davis looked really good.
Now Kentucky getting a piece of that paint, and good things happen. Again, it's like controlling the line of scrimmage. 2 paint touches and a clean 3. Well done.
Diallo, the first player for either side to get to 3 personal fouls. Everett Duncan had it halfway down, came back out into the hands of Green.
Great offense, though, by Vermont.
Green off the little up fake, able to get into the lane. He is crafty in the paint.
How good was the little up fake? Just enough. I mean, he sold it like a shot. And the bait was taken with a big bite. Quade Green says, thank you very much. Very well done. The footwork involved with the move by Quade Green. A freshman with the feet of an upperclassman.
Back in Lexington, Kentucky, where the Wildcats enjoy a 14-point lead. Sometimes it's the subtle things that help you win ball games. Let's take a look at Quade Green with a little bitty up fake.
Yeah, this kid's he's a tough, gritty kid that knows how to play the game. Number Z right there for Kentucky. He catches it, and just a little bit of a lift right here. Gets Lamb in a closeout to get high. Boom, right there. Just is more of a shoulder fake with an up fake, but it got the defender 3 in Green to lift up, and then Green attacks the hip of the lifted defender. Very well done by Quade Green.
And that feeds off his shooting. He's up to 9 points now. It knocked down a couple of perimeter shots. So if you're Lamb, you got that in the back of your head, and you're thinking, I got to get out there.
Well, for Quade Green, what's his role on this team? It's to give the ball up and get the offense going early, and then late clock, get it back and make a play. He and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander on the floor at the same time, so both point guards on the floor for Kentucky.
John Calipari has been hammering home all preseason and early season to Quade Green. Give up the ball and get it back. Peyton Henson stepped into the 3 and buried it.
He made a contested 3 over the long, outstretched arms of Gabriel. You have to make some of those shots against Kentucky if you're going to hang in the game.
4 minutes into the second half. It's an 11-point Kentucky lead. The Wildcats were down as many as 12 on opening night, down 9 at halftime, and then pulled off the greatest comeback from a halftime deficit in an opener in program history to beat Utah Valley. Last time they trailed in this one was about the 9-minute mark of the first half. Trey Bell Haynes, a nifty move to the bucket, and that draws a timeout from Calipari.
That is a high major play by an outstanding mid-major guard. Trey Bell Haynes, he has the foot speed with a basketball that you seldom can recruit to a school like Vermont. The go-by, the shift of gears, and the body control at the rim. Another great decision at the rim by 2 in Green.
There are maybe 30 or 40 Catamounts fans who've made the trip from either Vermont or somewhere else around the country to be here in Lexington this weekend, and they attended practice last night here at Rupp. They were here again this morning for shoot-around, and they have gotten their eyes full of Trey Bell Haynes over the last 4 years. He is a young man who didn't have a single scholarship offer as a senior at Bill Crothers Secondary School in Toronto. But Vermont head coach John Becker heard about him, so he had seen a little bit of tape, but he wanted to go to Toronto and see him in person before they offered. He would have been the 6th man in a 6-man recruiting class. So they get up there. The folks in Toronto set up a game just so that Trey can play in front of John. And Jimmy, what happens?
He gets thrown out. He gets into it with another player. He gets thrown out of the game. And now John Becker's like, I came all the way to Canada to watch this kid, and he's gotten ejected for unsportsmanlike conduct, basically. But you like to fight the toughness out of him. But he is a high major guard with elite speed. NBA scouts are in the building today to take a look at this kid from Vermont.
And there he is in transition off the steal. Well, he dipped his toe into the NBA world last spring just to work out for the teams and get a feel. He never seriously considered leaving after his junior year, but certainly has those aspirations following this his senior year at Vermont. He's a young man who grew up in Toronto rooting for the Maple Leafs and the Toronto Raptors. Not so much hoops, but hockey first and foremost. He turns it over. Washington. Gilgeous-Alexander. Diallo with a chance for 3.
Kentucky's so good at so young, understanding getting the ball on the defensive end. And the first 3 steps, bam, 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 they are into sprint mode. They score this one with 27 on the shot clock after the turnover. That's elite speed and elite length finishing at the rim.
And speaking of dipping your toe in the NBA world, Hamidou Diallo did the exact same thing last spring. Of course, he enrolled here at Kentucky last January and practiced with the Wildcats. Didn't play, used a redshirt year, but decided to come back for now a redshirt freshman season.
He is a beast finishing in transition. Talking about number 3 in white. Can take a hit, can take contact. Big, strong body just plays right through it.
After scoring 18 in Friday's opener, Diallo leads all scorers here this afternoon with 16 and counting. Double team on Lamb, and the foul is called.
This kid's got a great feel for the game, Lamb. Felt the double team coming and spins opposite of where the double team came from. Talking about Diallo on Friday night, he kind of ignited Kentucky in the second half when they went zone. They got a couple of turnovers, and he exploded at the rim, and the Rupp crowd exploded right behind him.
And again, that was triggered by the switch to zone. And last night, Jimmy, in Kentucky practice, they spent an awful lot of time practicing the zone. We haven't seen it so far here this afternoon. But how much do you think Coach Calipari might go to it when not pushed into it this year?
Yeah, that's to be determined, because he and I both agree zone's a 4-letter word. I don't like it at all. But with this team, at times, it's going to be terrific for them, especially when he goes big zone. And when I say big zone, I'm talking about Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and Hamidou Diallo up top, and then just a combination of what other the 3 bigs want to put across the back. They lift the zone high. They discourage the pass going to the baseline by attacking the outside shoulder. They play it similar to Syracuse. They're longer than typical Syracuse teams. It could be very, very good for this Kentucky team.
And just because a particular player is tall and long and athletic doesn't necessarily mean, as Washington draws the trip to the line, that they can be good on-ball defenders, right? I mean, it's something you can work on, but it isn't a birthright that you can defend in man-to-man well.
No, it's not. You can get better at it, but some teams are just not wired to be great on-ball defenders. And I'm not sure Kentucky is, because of how long they are. So in order to use that to their advantage, shorter closeouts, give themselves a buffer, because their length is going to be able to recover the shooters and take away driving angles. It's the straight line drive you'll hear coaches talk about all the time. We can't defend a straight line drive. Kentucky can't either. No matter how big they are at the rim, straight line drives are killers.
Jimmy, that foul was on Anthony Lamb, his 3rd. Washington missed the 2nd. There's the length we're talking about. Their scholarship players average a wingspan of 6'10". There's the one with the longest going down in a heap. Nick Richards trying to close out. He picks up his 2nd foul.
Another beautiful shot fake. Gets Nick Richards closing out of control. That should be a short, disciplined closeout. You're 7 feet tall with a 7'1" wingspan, and that's the one thing you can't do. But he will learn.
He's only been playing basketball at the age of 14. You know, he was born in Kingston, Jamaica. Then the family moved to New York City, lives in Queens. Played his high school ball in New Jersey, but really has only been playing for 4 or 5 years.
I think for whenever he decides to become a pro, that's in his favor, because if I'm a pro scout, I used to be, you like kids that are so young in terms of their basketball years, and this kid is extremely young. I'm telling you, it's dangerous allowing Vermont to continue to shoot threes in this game if you're Kentucky.
Ernie Duncan with his 2nd made 3 of the 2nd half. Back to a 9-point game. Washington off the mark. Knox attacks. Contact, and it's a blocking foul. Looks like they're going to say the defender was in the restricted area. Tuesday night on ESPN, it's the 7th annual State Farm Champions Classic. 4 of the top 5 teams in the country in one night right here on ESPN. You've got Duke and Michigan State, followed by these Kentucky Wildcats against Kansas. And also between games, oh, by the way, the college football playoff top 25 presented by Northwestern Mutual will be revealed exclusively right here on ESPN.
How about Coach K winning 1,000 games at Duke?
Pretty good.
1,000 games at Duke at one school. I believe he and Jim Boeheim are the only 2 to do it at the Division I level, but What a talented starting five. Bagley, Wendell, Carter, Bolden's going to be a pro someday. Gary Trent Jr., from the one game that I watched online, he can shoot that ball as well as anybody in the freshman class as a big shooting guard. And that is a loaded Duke class.
Now, you mentioned Bagley, double-doubles in each of his first 2 games, 25 and 11, 24 and 10. It's pretty good.
Yeah. It will be a step up for everyone on that Tuesday night for all 4 of those teams. We will find out who they really are. Elite speed to the rim.
There's that quick crossover and drive to the bucket. Washington called for the goaltend. It's 2 more points for Trey Bell-Haynes. He's up to 12.
Honorable mention, All-American last year was Trey Bell-Haynes. And I'm telling you now, he's got a step. That first step with a basketball is high level, hard to guard.
How long did it take you to get from your home growing up to your high school? Do you remember?
How long did it take for me to
10
get
minutes,
there?
15 minutes?
Was I walking or driving?
Driving.
15 minutes.
15 minutes. Trey Bell-Haynes took an hour each way in Toronto growing up to get to his high school. Had to take 3 buses, and he did that going and coming every day just so he could play basketball at Bill Crothers Secondary.
Well, kid that loves the game. You can see it when you walk in. You know, it's like how do you guard moxie? How do you guard moxie? This kid's got moxie. He doesn't care that he's in Rupp Arena against Kentucky. Feels like he's the best player on the floor. And you're guarding guys like that. It's not so much your skill level, it's their approach to the game. How do you guard moxie?
That foul on Ernie Duncan was his 3rd. Couple of foul shots by Kalia Jones. Back to an 11-point Kentucky lead.
He's been bothered 1 time in this game by 22 in white with the long arms.
There he goes attacking again. Perfect touch off the glass.
He's really good. He's really good. You will remember that name come March, I believe, when those brackets come out.
This Vermont team rattled off 21 straight wins during the heart of last season. 3 of their 6 losses for the year were against Sweet 16 teams, including South Carolina, which of course went out of the Final Four. Washington, nice looking turnaround.
Well, Cal continues to invert his offense and run his big guard down there to the block. He started the second half, and I expect he'll try to go to it some right now, knowing that this game is far from over. Power points on the floor, huge in tight ball games.
8 minutes into the second half. Vermont trying to hang in there with the 5th-ranked team in the country.
He's just an okay 3-point shooter, Trey Bell-Haynes. You go underneath his ball screen, and he's going to shoot a 3, and only about 34% of them make.
Five to shoot. Gilgeous-Alexander spins, has it poked away, ball still loose. That's some good defense by the Catamounts.
Yeah, Kentucky went to their sprint out ball screen at the end of the clock, went to it a little bit late. But again, when you attack Vermont off the bounce, they attack you right back. Thing is far from over.
Chris, thank you. We take a look at the AP preseason All-America team. And Jimmy, we've got some upperclassmen in there. You got Jalen Brunson, 3rd-year starter for Nova. Alonzo Trier looking to have his first full year at Arizona. And then, of course, the senior who you love so much in Notre Dame. But you had a chance to see the kid on there, Michael Porter, in his debut on Friday, which only lasted a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I got to see him for 2 minutes. I saw him the day before in practice for quite a while. It's interesting. He's only the 5th true freshman to ever be named to the AP preseason All-America team. Harrison Barnes did it at North Carolina, Andrew Wiggins at Kansas, Jaleel Okafor at Duke, and Ben Simmons, of course, at LSU. And he's a very talented offensive player. And his toughness level right now is going to have to go to another level. His defense will have to go to another level. But he's awfully talented, and that's a very good Missouri team that's picked preseason 4th or 5th in this league. But that National Player of the Year race, to me, is going to be something to really watch this year, because the depth of talent in college basketball this year is as good as it's been in a long time.
Now, Miles Bridges at Michigan State, the 5th man on that last graphic, who we didn't talk about, seems to be the odds-on favorite going in.
Yeah.
And so far, so good. He looked brilliant in Michigan State's opener. We'll get a chance again to see him in the Champions Classic on Tuesday night in Chicago. Anthony Lamb buries the triple.
If I haven't said it yet, I'll say it again. Don't let Vermont shoot threes. Don't let Vermont shoot threes. That's how they'll stay in this game. I don't think they can make enough Doug, to win this thing.
Now both teams shooting very well here in the second half, and UVM doing a lot of that from beyond the arc. Diallo, no. Washington tries for the one-handed rebound. The only reason he went for one hand is that he was being held in the other hand, and that's a personal foul on Lamb, his fourth.
Vermont has now taken 19 threes in this game. So if your closeout is late and low hands, you're going to say, go ahead and keep shooting them. Kentucky has to get quicker with their closeouts, and their hands have to get high. This team shoots it way too well. That's their 20th three-point shot in this ball game. That's too many to allow. Forget about how many they're making. How many are you letting them shoot is a concern.
And again, we just saw Anthony Lamb leave with his 4 personal fouls for Vermont. Long way to go for the Catamounts. Just past the midpoint here in the second half. Washington playing a little more bully ball inside for the Cats.
Yeah, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander actually started it off with a circle action, then the throw out. P.J. Washington just in attack mode in this game. Wow, nice pass, huh? On time, on target. Steph Smith will be the point guard of the future at Vermont, and he just delivered a very nice pass. He comes off that high ball screen, and Kentucky gets confused and lost. P.J. Washington doesn't do anything up top. He doesn't hard hedge. He doesn't flatten him out. He gets confused, and Vermont makes him pay.
Consequently, Hamidou Diallo has his 4th personal foul. Urquhart completes the three-point play. Now the folks here at Rupp making a little bit of noise once again.
Get your hands off of him. Steph Smith with the hands on Green as he cut. You can see the difference defensively. I can, Doug. Actually, you can hear the difference defensively on an older team. Vermont, all 5 guys are defending as one, and they're constantly talking. On the other end, Kentucky, because they're young, they play defense in a silent mode, and that has to change, and it will change. Teams grow. Got one team talking on defense and one team not.
That was the 6th team foul against Vermont. Trey Bell-Haynes comes right back into the game after his backup commits the foul. Washington carving space down to the block, draws the double team. Nice pass to the high post. And an easy 2 for Sasha Kalia-Jones.
That's the length of Kentucky right there, because the double team was terrific. The double team came hard and quick and on time, and P.J. Washington, 6'7" with long arms, just right over the top of the double screen. Very well done.
Trey Bell-Haynes setting up for another 3. Off the mark by Peyton Henson. Here comes Quade Green.
Again, another basket by Kentucky in transition that took right at 3 seconds from rim to rim.
Trey Bell-Haynes high off the window again.
He is a shot-making dude. The key to the game, one of them, was his decisions at the rim in this ball game, and he has been A+ so far with 8 to go.
And again, coming out of their loss to Purdue in last year's NCAA tournament, he told us about the fact that he's realized he doesn't have to shoot every time he gets to the rim. When you're facing big, long teams like Purdue or Kentucky, sometimes you've got to do other things, but he's been able to get to the rim and finish a lot here in the second half.
He just punishes team in the America East with his speed, and there's the missed shot and the speed of Kentucky on the other end. Again, 2 bounces, 3 bounces, 4, and in 3 seconds they're there. But this is the kid right now that's causing Kentucky all kinds of problems. So what decision does he make at the rim that time? Instead of going up and elevating straight into his shot, he gets to the shot spot and then draws a little pullback and the nice eye drop to the basket.
Knox, no, and Gabriel's going to be guilty of a pushing foul. We'll take a break from Rupp Arena with Vermont hanging close with Kentucky. And in Chicago Tuesday, you will have 4 guys who are used to getting together in Springfield, Mass. All 4 Hall of Famers. John Calipari, first ballot Hall of Famer in 2015. That is rarefied air right there,
yeah,
Jimmy.
It is. I mean, and all of them are so good at what they do. They all go about it a little bit differently. Cal and Coach K have adjusted so well to recruiting those kids that are potential just 1 year on a college campus. And you look at Tom Izzo's club right now. I talked about it earlier. Miles Bridges is a humble star, which is something you don't see all the time. The Jackson kids, a young, long, talented freshman, but those are 4 teams right there that could very well find themselves in the Final Four at the end. What a loaded night on ESPN when you factor in that the college football playoff is going to be talked about between games. How good was Jalen Hurts last night with a game on the line? Clutch.
That's how you win national championships,
yes.
You know?
That guy was not bothered by anything.
Tipped up and in. That's a big possession for Vermont. The Catamounts continue to shoot the lights out from the floor here in the second half.
They're shooting 71% in the second half against Kentucky's man-to-man defense. Does John Calipari even think about going zone against a team that shoots the ball so well from 3? Probably not in this game with 7.5 to go. It's a gut call, though, by the head coach. I've been there. You just got to trust your gut.
Green under control. Nice-looking jump shot.
Yeah, he really shoots it well, doesn't he?
Seems to always be on balance, has his feet underneath him, squared up.
He doesn't get sped up. You know, he plays his pace.
Henson lost the dribble. And here come the Cats. Good hustle to get back by Trey Bell-Haynes and knock that ball out of bounds. He claims that Kentucky was the last to touch, but it will be Wildcats basketball.
A little later in the game, we could go to the monitor and look at it.
May see what's at stake here in this non-conference game between the SEC and the America East. And while Vermont has been so good in recent years, undefeated in conference play last year, they've never beaten an SEC team. They've had 16 cracks at it. They're hoping that this will be the day, and they are hanging around.
Vermont continues to gain rebound on the defensive end with 2 hands. There ain't no one-handed rebounds by these guys in green. A very fundamentally sound team.
Vermont has its big lineup out there. Henson off the feed from Trey Bell-Haynes, and here comes UVM once again.
Very hard to guard a high flat ball screen when the screener is a legit 6'8" shooter like Henson. It's a nervous 20,000 plus in Rupp Arena right now.
Yeah, this is the closest it's been, Jimmy, since the 9.5-minute mark of the first half when it was 59-52.
Watch the high flat ball screen by Henson. Trey Bell-Haynes does a nice job with good speed coming off of it, knows exactly where he's going with the basketball. As soon as that second defender takes 1 step towards him, he knows the pop eye is going to be open, and Henson delivers.
And that's 4th-year senior to 4th-year senior.
You can't execute a high flat ball screen any better than that kid just did. He wasn't reading his defender. He was reading the screener's defender, and as soon as the screener's defender got on the wrong side of the floor, the wrong half of the floor, it was an automatic throwback for a wide open 3, as it should be.
Well, Jay Billis, the Billustrator, says UVM is the top mid-major value selection this year, and that Trey Bell-Haynes and Anthony Lamb are 2 of the top 6 vastly underrated players in the country, and we're seeing that here today. 3rd foul on Wenyen Gabriel.
Well, the vision by Trey Bell-Haynes, we saw him in the high flat ball screen up top, and now that's a very good pass, just not able to finish it like Kentucky's bigs do around the rim. Vermont is playing to the pace they want to play with right now because they're keeping the ball in number 2's hands in green, who's in complete control of Rupp Arena. But you certainly need to make free throws if you're Vermont down 5.
And again, he's a 22-year-old who last year was the conference player of the year. Drew Urquhart gets the 2nd. There's
tough guys, and then there's last 2 minutes of a close game tough guys. We're going to find out maybe who those are on both teams this afternoon.
Diallo back in despite foul trouble. Tough running shot. Big chance to go to the free throw line for Sasha Kalia-Jones.
It was a hard shot that Hami Diallo did not need to take. It was a hard, tough guarded two early in the shot clock. Calipari's talking to him about it right now.
At the line for Kentucky, Sasha Kalia-Jones.
Kalia-Jones comes in and cleans up the mess that Hami created.
Third foul on Drew Urquhart as Kalia-Jones makes the front end. Vermont brings Anthony Lamb back in, as you saw, to play with those 4 personal fouls. Clearly, Coach John Becker feels like it's now or never.
Kentucky better be very disciplined with their closeouts. They better be very disciplined in who they're chasing shooters and not give unguarded threes to Vermont.
Trying to find Ernie Duncan off the screen. Got a good look.
They got exactly what they wanted, a baseline run, and Kentucky didn't tag and trail it with the enthusiasm that they needed to, and they dodged one.
Kalia-Jones sets the screen. Green fires short again. And he'll shoot a pair of free throws.
Kid loves to play ball. Talking about Quad A Green, he loves to play ball, and he makes ball player plays just like that. He missed the shot, and as soon as he released it, he knew the shot was off to his right, and he went right to the right side of the rim, gets the rebound, and an important foul called on Trey Bell Haynes.
A young man who is 2-time state Class 3A Player of the Year at Newman Goretti High School in Philadelphia. Won 4 Pennsylvania State championships with the ball in his hands. He's a young man who was born 80% deaf and didn't speak for years. And now with auditory implants and speech therapy, he's overcome those challenges. And the ironic part now is that as a freshman, he's a very good verbal leader who listens very well.
Probably the best that Kentucky has right now. Just consistently having a big voice in practice.
13 of his 15 points have come in the second half for Quad A Green. And Vermont will go back to the free throw line.
John Becker calls a number for Anthony Lamb. The America East Freshman of the Year last year, the America East Tournament Most Valuable Player, the first freshman to win that award. He is a load. He's probably 6'5 and a half, 230, 240. I compared him to Bonzie Colson in the first half from Notre Dame. I think it's a good comparison in terms of the versatility, how he can score. He is a monster from the elbows on down.
Yeah, by his own admission, he was a chunky kid as a middle schooler who has worked tirelessly to make himself a very good D1 basketball player. 15 points for the sophomore out of Greece Athena High School in Rochester.
This game is so good for both teams. Vermont's finding out who they really are, and certainly Kentucky is.
Good closeout by Washington as Coach Cal watches the ups and downs with his freshmen.
Well, he has to play the role of point guard maybe all season long because he's got 2 freshman point guards. So he's having to coach every single play, if not every single pass, at least for a while. And that's okay. The circle action now is for Quad A Green right into a ball screen.
10 to shoot. Knox being hounded. Green going to have to put it up for 2. Knocked out of bounds. Back to the Catamounts.
Good defense by Vermont, wasn't it?
Sure was. And because of that and their shooting here in the second half, UVM is hanging in under 4 minutes to go, looking to pull the upset in Lexington. Kentucky has gone the last 3.5 minutes without a field goal, and that combined with Vermont's relentless pursuit and knocking down shots is keeping the Catamounts in the game, and it's all led by their senior point guard, Traybell Haynes.
He's doing an outstanding job of attacking the rim and then reading what the defense tells him to do. And he can make hard layups. I know that sounds really simple, and not a lot of guys can make hard layups in the college game with length in their face. He has a little step back. He can finish with his right or with his left. Think about this. He's 8 out of 14 from the field. Traybell Haynes is in this game. He's 8 out of 11 from the two-point part of the floor, and all those are around the rim with all kinds of long arms around him. A terrific player that has Vermont in this ball game with just under 4 to go.
Remember, the Catamounts did a lot of winning last year, set a program record with 29 for the year, including 21 in a row from the non-conference all the way to the NCAA tournament.
I said it before the game started, and it still feels like it. Like a 4-seed Kentucky taking on a 13-seed Vermont in the opening day of the NCAA tournament. It feels like that with 3:30 to go.
3 to shoot.
Bam. Don't let Vermont shoot threes. Don't go under. Stay attached. Cannot let them shoot threes in this game now with 3:25 to go.
Urquhart one off his career high with those 13 points.
We'll be able to sprint out ball screen for Quade Green to read and make a play.
He goes to the corner for Knox. He answers with the 3.
Doug, that is huge, because that was a guarded shot from the corner that Knox just knocked down. And if he doesn't have that long wingspan, he doesn't get that shot off. Again, Kentucky's ability to make plays over the top of you, very, very difficult to defend.
Traybell Haynes, good closeout by Washington to make that shot tough.
Yes, it was.
9th rebound for P.J. Washington.
You think Cal would maybe take a little bit of time off right here and get that ball to the painted part of the floor and make something good happen.
Do that same set again. Green uses the screen. This time he goes to Diallo in that corner. From the short corner, can't get the roll. Out of bounds. Kentucky basketball.
It was good defense by Vermont to force a guarded 13, 14-foot shot. But the long arms of Kentucky kept the ball alive, and it was a proper call. Now they got Knox in the circle action. Here he comes, running baseline with a tight curl.
And that quick first step to the baseline, but he couldn't finish. This is Ernie Duncan.
So the veteran team that John Becker on the sidelines at the top right there can call probably 20 plays right now for this veteran team to execute.
Ernie Duncan.
Bam! With another 3. You cannot go under. You cannot leave. You have to stay attached. You don't worry about the ball screen action right now if you're Kentucky. You can't let these guys in green shoot clean threes.
You can feel the tension here in the building at Rupp Arena. Vermont basketball down just 3.
Now the open 3 by Vermont. Again, Quade Green gets attached. There's no reason to get attached right now when your guy gives it up. And just allows Duncan to space away. Just that simple 2 steps that Green took away from his guy. No reason for it. That's a freshman. Cal's got to play through it. I'm not in the huddle. I wish I was. I guarantee he's saying stay attached. Please stay attached to shooters. Look what Vermont's done right now in the second half. They're 7 out of 13. Kentucky's shot ratio is what it should be. Kentucky's not a great three-point shooting team. They're trying to win this basketball game from the power part of the floor, as they should be. Vermont right now, you have to stay attached. If you switch, you got to switch high. You got to switch hot. You can't be low as a switching defender right now for Kentucky. A lot of teaching and a lot of learning on the fly right now for Kentucky defensively. I said it earlier. Good teams, great teams have a way to fix the problem within the game. Kentucky has to fix that problem right now and not allow any more threes from Vermont.
Well, you could tell during shoot-around this morning, unlike usually when an America East team travels to the SEC country, They felt like they could win this game.
Yes, they did.
And they certainly can with only 1:15 to play for the tie. Look at Knox, sky for that rebound.
Boy, a really good look, though. They run the shooter opposite from the ball and bring him back with a ball side, kind of a flare screen to get him wide open.
1 minute left in the game.
At worst, get yourself to the free throw stripe on this trip if you're Kentucky.
Diallo thought about it. Now with 10 to shoot, back out to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The freshman from Hamilton, Ontario, gives back to Diallo. The contested three is way short, and it bounces out of bounds back to Vermont.
But the ball never got to the blue part of the floor. John Calipari didn't have quad A Green in the game for defensive purposes, and so on the offensive end, he doesn't have that playmaker that he's had the last, couple of minutes in the game. So the threat of number 2 in Green to get to the rim is one thing that concerns you. You don't have to take a three right now if you're Vermont. You need a basket. 2 can get to the rim, and he's got shooters all around him.
Traybell Haynes penetrates again, and he's going to the line to shoot 2.
They can't handle his speed. He's a competitive young man that is hacked off like a rained-on chicken right now because he missed that one at the rim. Highly competitive kid. His speed and his first step is so explosive. It's little hand back. Now watch. The length of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander doesn't bother him, and it's almost an and one opportunity.
Well, last year as a junior, when he was the Conference Player of the Year, Traybell Haynes was a 73% foul shooter. Missing the front end here.
That's the guy that if you're John Becker, you want on the free throw stripe.
And as the coach on the floor, he makes sure each of his teammates knows what they're doing after this free throw. Missed them both. Nearly out of bounds. Save to Vermont. Shot clock is off.
A young mistake by Kentucky to save it in bounds like that underneath the basket.
Just as Traybell Haynes was starting to penetrate, the timeout came from the sideline, and so UVM will set it up with a chance to try and force overtime.
I'd like to know the last time that Traybell Haynes missed back-to-back free throws. It's been a long time, I guarantee you.
Well, Jimmy, tonight at midnight on ESPN, wrap up your weekend with SportsCenter hosted by Scott Van Pelt. He'll have his list of teams that impressed the most in Week 10. And also Louis Riddick and SVP will break down Tom Brady's performance in Denver, also streaming live on the ESPN app. All right, Jimmy Dykes. So what do you do if you're Vermont coming out of this break, and what do you do defensively if you're Kentucky?
Well, Vermont has probably 8 or 10 plays right now that John Becker can go to off of an out-of-bounds play to get a 2 or a 3. I think he's going to draw up something to try to get a clean 3 quickly. If it's not there, then attack and continue to extend this game, because you can foul and still get a chance to tie it at the end. But a veteran team right now, huddled up in those green jerseys, they know exactly what they're going to do. He's drawn up to remind them one more time, if you're Kentucky, you have to stay attached. You certainly don't want this thing to go to a tie ball game by giving up another 3-point shot in the second half. Vermont has taken now, 25, 26 threes in this ball game, if not more. And you have size shooters on the floor. Henson can make a 3 at 6'8". Ernie Duncan can make one at 6'3", but the ball will start in the hands of number 2 in Green, and trust his decisions. He's been good all day.
So Kentucky will use a timeout. The Wildcats have one. The Catamounts have none.
Well, it looked like, and John Calipari saw the same thing, that they're going to start Traybell Haynes underneath the rim and give him some options to come out and get his hands on the basketball. Most likely, because Kentucky has struggled with it the last 4 or 5 minutes, a shooting threat, setting the screen for Traybell Haynes, and let Traybell Haynes operate off of it. And see what that screener's defender does. If he makes a mistake, the screener will pop, and Vermont has a great chance to send this thing into overtime.
At halftime, it was Kentucky 36, Vermont 24. The Catamounts couldn't buy a bucket in the first half, but it's really been turned around here in the second.
Well, I said in the first half, the concern at halftime for me was how many threes Vermont has shot in the game. Not so many that they've made because they're a good shooting club. Now John Becker switches it up, and just that's a simple way to get the ball back in the hands of your ball handler. The ball screen will be set by a shooter. There it is.
Ernie Duncan. No. Out of bounds. Kentucky basketball.
That is a beautifully executed play, though, by Vermont to start the shooter away. Trey Bell-Haynes drags the defense with him, and they run Duncan off of kind of a staggered screen up top to get him a wide open look.
They're going to see whether or not it is indeed Kentucky basketball. That was the call on the floor.
Look at 20 come off of the screen of Lamb. That's a staggered screen up top, almost like you run a screener off of a baseline series. A wide open look. And who's it off of? That's what the officials are looking at. Oh, that's close.
What do you think, partner?
Well, in live action, they called it off of green. So unless they see something that completely changes that from that angle, I couldn't tell. You know, Tony Henderson and Will Howard, and now Patrick Evans takes his shot at the monitor. You can only have two officials at the monitor at the same time. The other official has to step away and make sure he keeps an eye on both puddles and things going on the floor. But all three eyes, or sets of eyes, will look at it. Initially, it looks like it's off of Kentucky, but I'm not so sure Henson doesn't come in at the end and force it out. Doug, I don't know. I think that's off of Kentucky. I'm not sure Henson, 35 in green, ever touched the basketball.
Well, even if he did, I still think it's possible that Knox was the last to touch.
Yeah.
It is really close.
And the response by Henson also gives you a little bit of insight, because as soon as the call was made, he was very adamant about he didn't touch the ball. A huge call right now, and Vermont, with no timeouts, has to use this as a timeout to talk about, if we do get this ball back in our favor, what are we running on the baseline? They have a play called Robert Morris that he inbounds the ball on one side and primarily to Land, who will then look opposite to the weak side of the floor. A huge call right now. That there's the hand of Knox, and I don't see how you can say Henson touched that basketball right there.
Is it possible that they're looking at it and seeing that Henson didn't hit the basketball but hit the hand of Knox, which forced the ball to go that way?
No, you can't go there to make a call. It's Vermont ball. I think that's the right call. I think that's the right call. Now you've got an experienced Vermont club. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't try to inbound this ball to Lamb and try to get a screening action on the opposite side of the floor. They ran it this morning in shoot around. They called it Robert Morris. The key is, can you get it to number 3 or Trey Bell-Haynes to start with? There it is. Now the opposite side of the floor. Bingo.
For the tie. No. A foul has been called, so the game's not over. Clock didn't stop, but they're going to have to go back and review it and put 1 or 2 seconds back on the clock.
That's exactly what I thought they would go to, Doug. You and I watched it this morning. A play called Robert Morris, probably because they played Robert Morris and Robert Morris ran it against them. You inbound the ball on one side and then the little flare screen to get the shooter open on the other side. A good job by Winion Gabriel to stay attached and not foul on that last possession.
Well, Peyton Henson got a good look, and you know the theme we've had all ball game has been the length of Kentucky, and while Winion Gabriel wasn't right on top of him, when you're that long, you don't need to be right on top of him.
But he recovered in a good position. He went in front of the shooter. Look at Winion Gabriel chasing and then fly in front of the shooter instead of at his side where he could possibly get out of control and cause a foul. Gabriel did what John Calipari talked about. You stay attached to your guy. I don't want to risk anything in terms of switching, and at the end of the game you say, I thought, he thought, I thought, he thought. No, you got your guy, you got your guy. Does everybody understand? Yes, break, go execute. And that's what Kentucky did.
P.J. Washington, 16 points, 10 rebounds. And he can ice it with 0.4 of a second put back on the clock.
Vermont, no timeouts left. I mean, I guess technically, but no, it's over. I'm telling you, it's a very good win for Kentucky against Vermont. A very good win that will resonate on Selection Sunday. Vermont will be in the NCAA tournament. So the 4-seed Kentucky advances against the 13-seed Vermont, and we're only in November.
Survive and advance is what they talk about in March, but that's kind of the feeling here at Rupp Arena as Vermont pushes Kentucky right to the limit, Jimmy.
Well, both teams learned a lot about themselves. And I talked about, do you have 2-minute toughness about you? I think both teams showed they got last 2-minute toughness about them today.
No doubt. Our final score, Kentucky 73, Vermont 69. Coming up next, Sports Center. So long from Lexington, Kentucky.